you ready? This is Houston, go ahead.
3, 2, 1. Are you ready? Here we go! Welcome to your weekly dodgeball podcast. For all the latest and greatest updates, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Crosscourt Live. And now your host. Please welcome
Travis Tomlin.
Welcome everybody to the 5th episode of Crosscourt Live. Here I am. I'm Travis. I have a very, very special guest with me today. I'm going to make him hold on for just 1 second while I intro the show. I don't really need to intro the show too much because you heard that just amazing intro given to me, made by my friend Howard Chin, aka Tempest. There was a little bit of his intro music at the beginning of the show last week too. It was totally unsolicited. It was just this amazing labor of love. He came to me and said, Travis, I've got this introduction music. I need you to play it. I said yes. So hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. What's on the show today? We'll do the previews and reviews. I'm going to talk about my pub night pre-show I'm planning on. I'm going to pimp the extravaganza a little bit harder than I did last week, hopefully. I'll talk about a user question. Maz asked me how to stick around in Tier 1. Myself and my guests are going to lay down our thoughts on that. I'll talk about a term I used last show, which was generations. What does it mean by the different generations in dodgeball? I'll try my best to give sort of a clear definition on that. It was actually C. Wang that asked me about that. And then finally, we're going to go into a little bit of talk on our opinions on the best teams of all time. We'll weigh on that a little bit. But first, I'm going to get to my guest, Matt Kennedy. Matt, welcome to the show.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I am so excited. I have been a squiggly, giggling little girl ever since Friday when you agreed to come on the show. I was just so excited for that. If you don't know Matt, Matt is the captain of the Spartans. He is sort of, I would call him VDL's Wonder Boy.
Oh, man.
He keeps us wanting. Like, you don't give us enough Matt Kennedy just because he's got his fingers in so many other things.
I don't understand how some of you guys last for 5 nights a week, 4 nights a week. I'm toast after one.
It's absurd. My body breaks down too. Matt has played on teams such as the Spartans, Olympus, Ballistics, and currently you are just playing on the Spartans, right?
Yeah, it's just been Spartans for the last few seasons, unfortunately.
All right. I've got the hardest hitting question I have for you. I'm going to give it to you right now. You sort of in VDL, you've been described as the perfect combination of sexy and cute. And this user wants to know, why don't you smile when you're on the court? The ladies say you have such a nice smile, and they want to see it more when you're out there playing.
Oh man. I don't know. I think just with us Spartans, I think it's just kind of the persona we've adapted, and we just kind of play it up a little bit and have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I don't know. We just like to go out there and compete, and I think that we're all for having a good time after. But sometimes when we're playing, it's a bunch of competitive guys and girls.
I hear
Debs probably takes the cake on all that, but yeah, I mean we just get down to business, I guess, and we really kind of enjoy the competition of it, and it's a really kind of fun way for us to get out some of those frustrations and stuff. So, but I'll give it a try, definitely. Maybe not come playoffs. It's do or die at that point. But
I see.
Yeah.
And that question was from C. Tam. Wait, no, that's too obvious. That was from Carolyn T. And so yeah, no, I totally agree. If you want to be out there, if you want to be focused, sometimes that's just how some people focus. It's certainly not as extreme as say Kevin Vo, who just never smiles. Period. But I catch subtle smirks and glances and winks and grins out there when I'm playing against you.
I'm definitely having a good time out there. I'll tell you that much.
For sure. Usually it's right before you kill me, but it's still a grin nonetheless. So you've got titles despite only playing one night a week, you won with Olympus back in Season 5 and Season 6 on Tuesday, and in Season 8 you won with Ballistics. But I'd say you're probably most famous for your near victories. Every Thursday night, or whenever the Spartans are playing, going into playoffs, it seems like you guys are just
right there,
someone to be feared, like just brutal contenders. And with guns that big and that many guns, it boggles some people why you guys aren't able to finally bring home that championship. I actually have my own theories on it. I'd like to hear what you think first, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of one of the big obvious ones is just the kind of style we play. Some of those bigger gyms, especially going into playoffs in DT, it's just you really got to change your game up. And I think one of the big things with us is we just like to we like to have a good time. We're kind of all these competitive guys that go out there, and I find it hard to kind of reel people back and tell them not to do certain things. And I'm kind of a firm believer in just going out there and working with what you got. And I think what we got is just a bunch of competitive people that like to go out there, and they, it's a schoolyard sport, and we play it like we did when we were 12 years old. We just like to go out there and whip some balls around, and that comes to bite us a lot of the time. But I promise you, there is some kind of organization to our chaos. We're not just going. Sometimes we get out of our heads a little bit, I think, and it's tough for us to kind of get that back, especially when things start to roll in playoffs and you're really working off a lot of momentum. But there's lots of things to work on, and we do have lots of places to improve. But I just think that unfortunately, getting in those big gyms, it's tough for us to kind of switch our game up on the last week when we just kind of play our game for the rest of the season. And so it's not what we want to do. We don't want to just kind of try to get out of our element. That's what we've been doing for the last 10 weeks, and it's tough to just say no to that.
Yeah, certainly. Like I've always said that you guys more than any other team suffer from the fact that playoffs are played in those bigger gyms, because what would be something that's almost impossible to catch if you give sort of 2 feet here or 2 feet on the other side. All of a sudden, it makes it, it turns a ball that was absolutely uncatchable before into something that is catchable. And so, you guys more than anybody else, I think, will suffer from that. And also, just by virtue of, you guys come out and say, your style is sort of free form. I definitely know there's a structure behind your game, but simply because you guys are in the position where you throw so many balls, like, teams that may be able to compete with you will sit back and let you throw to them regardless. So even if you are sort of walking over teams, you guys are making so many throws, and those playoff days can be really long. Like if you're throwing that many balls, like, I don't know, it affects me. By the end of the day, I'm throwing at like a fraction of what I am at the beginning of the days. It must get hard. Do you notice?
Yeah.
Do you notice your arms ever slipping by the end?
Yeah, definitely that's something that we all got to work on. I think personally, kind of my evolution of a player, I guess. Especially with throwing hard and things like that. And I just think that the league now, there's too many good people out there. There's too many people that bring in too many different parts of the game that you can't just go out there and win with straight power. There's people that can and do rely on that, but I think for me personally, it's all been about trying to mix it up and developing different parts of the game as best you can. If you're someone that goes out there and just throws a lot of power, I don't care who you are, someone's gonna be out there and catching you. And I've been hit out by every kind of person there is, and I've been caught out by every kind of player there is. So just to bring one element to a game, I think is tough. And so that's one of the things we do want to work on is just trying to mix things up a little bit and trying to, one of the things we've been talking about is it's okay to miss sometimes with our throws and taking a little bit off of our throws, but just kind of being conscious of every throw that we're taking and really trying to slow it down, not necessarily in a tempo, because I think the up tempo that we plays into our advantage, but more just trying to kind of use balls to the best of their advantage and really trying to work together. And just not necessarily maybe throwing with each other, but kind of throwing off each other and really kind of working together to get in each other's rhythms and keep each other protected and just kind of making sure that you're not the only person that you're kind of focusing on, because that's definitely one of our big issues is we get that tunnel vision and each one of our players gets it at these different times, and it comes back to bite us sometimes. And I think that I don't know if we're ever going to be a catching team. I don't think that that's something you can really it's just not how we're designed. We're just not the kind of guys that like to sit back and that's not the kind of game that we play. But I think that we got to take what we do have and just kind of work it a little bit and really hone in on some of the strengths of that and just be aware of the weaknesses that does bring and how to work around that kind of stuff.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like you've always sort of been the general of the Spartans, and I noticed when you guys were playing recess at Hastings last Thursday, is even when you were on the sideline, you were giving sort of way more feedback. You mentioned, it's all right to miss. You were pointing out these things, and I'm like, man, that's something I'd never really seen from the Spartans before, is laying out these kind of guidelines. And in respects to you guys not being a catching team, I know, like you, Nick, Vase, Joey, you can all make catches. I know that's probably not what you're sort of defined by, and it certainly doesn't help it certainly does help that you've added in Deb and Rattel. That's totally going to make you guys into better catchers, just by having them around. Sort of that osmosis, seeing how Deb does it, seeing how Rattel does it, and sort of getting those ideas in your head. I think it's super cool. And hey, do you think this Thursday night's going to be the year for you guys?
Oh, man, you know what? I don't even want to answer that question because we get asked that question every single season, and it does. I think it does play in our heads a little bit as much as we don't want it to. It is one of the things that's just always in the back of our mind. I mean, we've been around since season 3.
Wow.
And it's just like it's always there, and we're always season 4, I guess. Probably season 4, and it plays in the back of our heads constantly, and it's like. I hate answering that question. I mean, of course, we think we're going to win every year. I think that if every one of us thinks that, when we do play our game and when we do play off each other and to the best of our abilities, that we can beat anyone. I really do believe that. And I think everyone else on our team believes that, which is also kind of why, of course we want to win and we do think we can win, but there's things that we got to improve on. We know we're not going to do that until we can correct some of the errors that we've made, 4 or 5 times now.
I remember back in sort of earlier playoffs, when Spartans were new, when there was no Monica, Deb, Rattel, there wasn't even any Joey back then. I don't think there was Vase either, or Nick. Nick might have been brand new.
Nick's been around since day one. Yeah.
Really? Okay, you, your brother, and then just sort of a cast of others. And I would look at you guys play, and in the playoffs, you would be putting down just amazing performances, and then afterwards it'd be like, well, man, the Spartans lost. It's sort of in spite of Matt King. You would put down just these very heroic player performances, but now you guys have sort of transformed to this team that's definitely going to contend. Let's go back to sort of the Spartans of old. I guess let's break into 2 parts. Spartans of old and the Spartans now. How did both of those teams come to be?
Oh man, Spartans of old. Well, that's good old Dylan Cooper. He was the one that talked to Mike, my brother, about getting into the league, and Mike just kind of got a bunch of us together. It was myself and Mike, and then Nick, who's my closest friend, and his older brother. And then I don't even know what girls we had. I think we had a bunch of other. It's just kind of been this evolution where we started out just a bunch of people, and then we had some issues there. We actually had one of our guys blow out his knee.
Ooh.
Actually at Oppenheimer, that my least favorite gym.
Yeah.
I got to admit, that thing is just, I've seen more people you got to be careful in that gym. You really do. It's a tough one to play in. But yeah, and it was actually a throw from me during a fun game. Wasn't so fun after that, I guess. But I ended up hitting him with one of those good old curveballs, and he ended up blowing his knee out. And so we had already lost one of the other guys to he kind of stopped playing, and so we were short a guy. And I just remember being on the bus, and I ran into Vase, and Vase and I have been friends for a real long time. But we've kind of gone our separate paths over the years, and we reconnected on this bus. And I was like, hey man, just pop question if you want. I got this dodgeball team, and just knowing Vase, he's the kind of guy that's just more hyped on something like that than anyone. So he was down, and that's how he came to be. And then Rattel and Joey would have been. Joey and I know each other from baseball. We actually never played together before, but that kid's name just got thrown around. You just knew his name kind of in that world. So we ended up having a class together at Langara, and reconnected through that, and it just kind of happened that he was actually playing already.
With the
And
regulators,
with the regulators, yeah, on Thursday nights, and then so we kind of reconnected. And we were talking for a bit, and then they ended up folding the next season, and we were looking to pick someone else up. We wanted to kind of have an extra guy, and Joey the guy's a phenom. Like, he's one of the best baseball players I remember from back in the day, and one of the best hockey players. I mean, the guy is just, you'd be stupid not to want a guy like that on your team. So we ended up picking him up, and he was down to come out. And yeah, and then I guess Deb would have been, we actually lost in a playoffs again. And we knew that we were going to be short females the next season, and we had watched Deb play with target practice. And we just loved her style, just loved her attitude. She just seemed like a lot of fun. And so Mike approached her, and at the end of the playoffs, because he had heard that she might be interested in kind of switching it up, and he just proposed the idea of possibly wanted to join the Spartans, and she jumped on board. Which was awesome. She's kind of become the mother of our team, really kind of keeping everyone in check, I think. And like I said, she's more competitive than any of us. She's the one that's always talking strategy and always trying to get us in our heads and in the right place. So she was just a blessing to have. And then this past year, Mike ended up leaving. He's over in Malawi right now. Just give a shout out to him if he's around. But he's doing an exchange out there, so he's gone right now. And Rattel was there, so we asked him if he wanted to join, and he would obviously jumped on board as well. So he's another kind of blessing in disguise for us. He's just he's not quite our dad. He's like our uncle. He lets us kind of do our thing, but at the same time, he's going to get on our cases, and he keeps us in check as well. And he does bring a lot of the elements that we didn't have before to our team. So we really miss him when he doesn't come out too, because he's been pretty busy lately. But yeah, no, he's definitely been a blessing for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw those pickups as really going to instill some discipline in the Spartans. Like, man, someone's going to finally rein these kids in. These kids have been living without parents for years, and they're just, they're ready for a father figure and a mother figure in, Deb and Rattel. You play one night a week, and you're a very personable, social guy, but I think a lot of people probably don't sort of know much about you outside of dodgeball, just because you haven't been shared around with the rest of the league like most players are. Everybody sort of incestuously goes around from night to night and just plays with a host of people. Is there anything you want sort of VDL to know about you outside of your sort of dodgeball persona?
Oh man, no, I just I love the community, I really do. Ever since we kind of joined it's been hard. Every year you always say, oh, am I going to be playing again? How many nights a week? How many this? And, it's been busy. I've been busy. I've got lots of things on the go. But Thursday nights, they got to stay open. We just want to keep bringing this team back. And for me, it's not, doesn't matter quite, who's going to be around the next season. We want to keep this team going, and we have a lot of fun playing with it, and we got our style. And yeah, I mean, I try to make it out to as many things as I can. I'll definitely try to make it out to pub night this year. But again, and I'm a busy guy, and I got things on the go. I also, like I said, I don't understand how some people can go out there and throw for 4 nights a week. I just I like to kind of be on the top of my game, and I like to have a lot of fun. But we also like to go out and really kind of go hard. And for me to go hard more than once a week, throwing however many balls we got to throw. It wrecks me, and I wish I could, and I got all the respect in the world for the people that are able to do it. I know Deb plays 4 nights a week, and she has been forever, and she keeps complaining now about retiring and this and that, and I'm just like, Deb, just slow down, just Spartans, that's it, that's all you got to worry about from this point on. But yeah, I mean, anyone can feel free to approach me and have a good chat. I love talking dodgeball. I love talking strategies. I'm always interested in new people coming in and the kind of different things that they bring to the game. And I really do kind of steal little things from everyone, and I really try to see what people are doing well and what's working at a certain time. And so, I mean, the vice versa, if I can pick your brain, please come by and pick mine as well.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I find right now it's sort of 2 nights a week is perfect for me because it's not. I think one night a week I might sort of feel rusty, like I'm losing sort of my court vision or just awareness out there. So the fact that you're able to just play, one night a week but always come out at such a high level is kind of, a testament to your sort of dodgeball acumen at the moment, so to speak. Not to pat your back too hard, but I think that's pretty sweet.
What else I get tonight? Wonder Boy too? Is that
I gave
that
you
one?
Wonder Boy earlier, yeah.
Jeez,
I'll try to rein it in, man. This isn't the Travis gush hour. It's supposed to be Crosscourt here. We're doing a dodgeball podcast. Okay, moving on. Let me do a quick review of the week that was in dodgeball. Monday night was just insanely polarized. It was, I think, their first week after tiering, and it really showed. There was good teams this week, and there were bad teams this week. It was a really big week from Dodge It Like It's Hot, who've kind of been around forever, and they were actually in Tier B before this week's re-tiering. And so when they came out with 10 wins, I'm like, holy crap, where did Dodge It Like It's Hot came from? Are they the hottest thing in dodgeball? But I went and looked at their schedule. They had sort of a night that was composed of predominantly other teams that came up with them from Tier B. So I'm not gonna sell the farm and put it on Dodge It Like It's Hot just yet. All the other usual suspects were at the top of the list. Tuesday night, Gotta Catch 'Em All had 12 wins, and that's the best performance of the night. And they're a brand new team too. But again, they played sort of bottom of the ladder, but I have been told by Kyle Schmidt, insider information, that these guys are new, they're young, and they're very athletic. So give them a couple weeks hanging out in Tier 1, and they could actually, maybe do some damage in the playoffs. Could be the kick in the pants that Tuesday night needs. Other than that, it was sort of the standard, gotta catch 'em all, little dodgeball team that could, Wonder Bang, Strange of the Candy at the top of the standings. Wednesday night, Geeks and Sneaks went 15-1, absolutely huge. They were playing some of the toughest teams in Tier 1 Wednesday as well. They were playing the Mascots. They were playing Hurt Feelings. And I think they were also playing Now and Forever, the Hits. Mascots, we're just throwing this out there. We are entirely tired of playing Geeks and Sneaks. Just to catch you up here, Matt. I play on the Mascots with Brandon, Deb, Rattel, Billy, Julia, and Carolyn plays with us so much she could practically be part of our team. Joe plays in like a green man suit. The name kind of gives it away. We all play in costume. Like half of us are playing in these amazing Nintendo character costumes that Deb has. Deb plays in her full body Gumby suit.
Oh man, where's like the full Spartan suit from Deb?
Dude,
I'm still waiting for this thing.
She can barely seal this thing, and she still dominates people, man. She makes catches. She took out like Geeks and Sneaks 6 versus 1 practically in that costume. It was disgusting. So yeah, Wednesday sort of par for the course. Next week will be the week where Mascot sort of gets to stretch the wings and play without Mike Vick or Geeks and Sneak. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thursday, Spartan shows up. Spartans showed up with 13 wins, dominated the court, including Recess, who were missing Yams, but he still dominated. And there's only like 2 wins separating the top 4 teams after a couple weeks on Thursday. Tell us a little bit about Thursday. It was Hastings. It was your home court, and you just took on Recess.
Yeah, I mean Hastings is we love Hastings. It's that perfect kind of size. It's not too small. But it's not quite DT, and I think, I mean, like I said, that was actually the first week that we've had kind of our whole team out in a while. I know people have always been away, and I know, it used to kind of throw us off having that break in between when you got to sit out for a round, but I think this season it's going to help us out a lot. I think it keeps people in check, and I know, like you were saying earlier, when someone's sitting off, you got someone hopefully sitting out there that can see everything going on, and that's something I've been getting on Rattel's case a bit too, to just kind of talk a little bit more, because we do got the kind of team that you got to yell at guys to get them to do anything, because we do get that kind of tunnel vision. So, it was a fun week. As we seem to play Disney's Recess every single week, and they're always a blast to play. They're definitely our number one competition out there. Just I think the styles that we play. It's interesting, like we both play really, really up a tempo style, and we both try to play a quick kind of game, but we're both playing that quick game for different reasons. I think, we obviously kind of benefit from it because if you can pull people into throwing a bit more with you, I think that we kind of pull the advantage once that starts happening. Whereas I think Disney's Recess, they play that up-tempo game to kind of pull you into thinking you got to throw a little bit more, and then that's when they sneak up and they suck up a couple of your balls and they no pun intended there, I guess. But you know what I mean? They pull in a few of those catches and they're able to really, even if they're down, they get back into a lot of games. And so it's fun playing with them because they're willing to play that tempo with us, and we really do enjoy that. And they force us to really be on top of our game, because if we do try to make those lazy crosses or a little lazy throw, or try to take one-on-one, or think a guy's gonna try to block with the ball he's holding, they really take advantage of situations like that. And so it's just fun. It's a real kind of chess match with us. It's a really back and forth kind of game. And I think this week, just with obviously the court, and we just kind of had everyone there, and we were excited and ready to kind of throw down. I think we just had a good week, and we went in there and got it done. But I think that we'll obviously play each other a couple more times, I'm sure, before the season's over, and we'll try to stay on top. But they got a sneaky way of equaling everything out, and they like to stay up there with us as well. So it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to another series against them for sure.
Oh yeah, there's been some just classic matchups in the playoffs, and you guys you're so opposed in sort of your play styles. I had Justin on last week, and we were actually talking about that before he brought it up, and before you brought it up right now. I had no idea of the Spartans Recess rivalry this existed, but you've played each other so many times in the playoffs, and you're just such a good match for entertaining dodgeball that when it turned out that you guys were playing each other that Thursday, it was just, it was a match made in heaven. I had to be there. I actually had to be there because I had an exec that night. But I did spend most of my time just on the bench, sort of staring at the game and really enjoying myself. So yeah, that's Thursday nights. A lot of people are billing Recess Spartans as the finals coming up for this year. I don't know. It could happen.
Oh man, there's so many teams up there though. It's tough to say. I mean, obviously we think we're going to be there, and I think Recess has a good chance too. But you just look at that, the top half of that is just every single one of those teams can be there for sure.
So many good teams on Thursday. I think Monday is like the sleeper night for depth. There's so many good teams on Monday because no one started out on like a Monday team. No one has ties to Monday. So there's just teams where if you have a bunch of people you want to play with, you want to throw together a team, throw it together on Monday. And everybody's addicted to dodgeball. So there are all these really good Monday teams going on right now. It's nuts. I'm super excited for Thursday. Hopefully the Spartan Recess Showdown doesn't occur because I've got a Thursday night team, and we usually try to have something to do with the finals on Thursday. We'll do our best as well. Previews. Okay. Previews for the week coming up. Monday night, my pick is going to be Oppenheimer, 7 to 8:30. Gods of War, Cat City Itch, One of These Days, and Thunder Buddies. Why it's interesting is because One of These Days is sort of an up-and-coming team on Monday. Gods of War and Cat City are sort of stalwarts. They've been at the top all the time. See if One of These Days can put up with the rest of these top-tier Monday teams. They got 11 wins last week. Maybe it was a weaker court, but let's see if they can do it again. Tuesday night, 7 to 8:30 at DT. Eat, Pray, Dodge, Catch 22, Wonder Bang, and Gotta Catch 'Em All. This is the first test for Gotta Catch 'Em All, but this is also another test for Eat, Pray, Dodge. I actually substituted for the Stonecutters on Tuesday night at Carleton. It's a minute away from my house. It worked out perfectly. Stonecutters did terribly, partially because I played like dirt, but I was so impressed by Eat, Pray, Dodge. They're a fairly new team. I think their captain Daniel was talking to me, or a guy on their team. I just assumed he was their captain because he talked to me. Great team, young guys, athletic, making tons of catches. Go check it out. Tuesday, 7 to 8:30 at DT. Wednesday night, Carleton, 8 to 10. There's no mascots, but you'll be okay because Mike Vick's there. The Geeks and Sneaks are there. Hurt Feelings, which is Kyle, Justin, a bunch of other CDL dudes. Baron's there. Now and Forever the Hits, which will have sort of Gino singing probably. Finally, Double Rainbow. I don't know Double Rainbow, but hey, you can't go wrong with that name, I don't think. Let me see what we've got Thursday. Thursday, the place to be is Hastings again, 7 to 8:30. There's no Spartans, but Recess is there again, hopefully with Yams in tow, and Hatebit's going to be there. I don't know if you're wise to what Hatebit's been doing this year, but Kevin Vo has been setting prop bets. For example, Shane kills 13 players in the first 9 games or something, right? He sets a line. If we're right, we take one shot away from our pub night drinks. If we're wrong, we have to have another shot at pub night. Initially it was sort of something just to drive our interest, because if you're playing all the time, sometimes it's hard to get jacked up for league nights. And one thing, sort of 8-bit, hate-bit, love-hate, whatever sort of incarnation we're coming back in each season, we have trouble sort of getting up for league nights. We have trouble sometimes getting players out for league nights. It seems like Kevin Vo is always like falling asleep, or jury duty or overtime, or something's going on. But so just getting him out is something. And so now that he's done these bets, it's sort of tweaked him into dodgeball, and he has to be there, sort of like Kevin Vo of yore. Problem is, this week most of the lines were catch related for me and Trong and Carolyn and Tiana. So we were going out of our way. Like, I was standing up at the line trying to make catches, and we went from being 9-1 in the first half to just tanking the rest of our games and having like a pretty shitty 10-5 night. And so this week we're determined to come back. Also, there are the Ball Busters and Flying Popcorn. Flying Popcorn had a good week last week. I don't actually know who's on their team, but it sounds delicious. And the Ball Busters are sort of a classic team that's been bouncing back and forth between tier 2 and tier 1. It'll be fun having them up. They got Steve on their team. I really like them. And I'm just excited to play Recess. Just like for you guys, Recess is really a benchmark.
Yeah, they're fun to play. They're like I said, they bring a system that they're able to play night in and night out, and they're just consistent. They're really able to just come out and have a good night all the time, and really stay at the top, and you're guaranteed to get a good series against them, and you're guaranteed to have to be on your toes when you play them, or else they just find ways of coming back into games and just taking you out of games and taking you completely out of series too. So they really do keep you in check the whole night.
Did you know it's Recess's last season together?
Yeah, you know what? I heard that, and I think that's too bad. I don't see why not. Why not keep it around?
Well, the reason is Nate's going to school. He's going to chiropractic school, I think, and I believe it's in the States. So there's no way he can play dodgeball. And so they decided, if we can't be together, we can't be together. And so I guess they'll probably stick around in some form.
I'm sure they will, yeah.
Bits and pieces here and there, but not the full Recess experience.
Yeah, it's too bad, because we've been really getting into things with them, and I know this year it's going to be the same thing. And I think that if we end up taking them, then we don't want to see them go and not be around. And if knock on wood, they end up taking us, that Spartans are coming back, and we're going to be trying to look for a revenge kind of something like that the next season. So it'll be too bad to not have them around, I think.
It's going to be disgusting. Part of my
situation.
Yeah. Part of my inspiration for doing the shows and podcasts are that I know, playoffs are just absolutely so nuts. So if there's any way I can just hype it up more and get more people excited and just sort of interested in the matchups that are coming for playoffs, let me do it. What I used to do with Shane is we would sort of like go grab Subway a few nights before playoffs. We'd sit down, we'd like make out brackets, and we would plan out like, okay, this is 1 through 32. Here's our route. And it never worked out for us because we were still on Love Juice. We were still, not awful, but we were great. And but it was so exciting, right? That was sort of the magic that dodgeball playoffs have over me, and still have over me.
Yeah, I love playoffs. I've had to miss a few here and there, but it's definitely makes the entire season, whether you win or lose. Playoffs are always a good time.
Do you have any playoff rituals?
Any playoff rituals?
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what? Besides headband, Deb's got on my case about wearing a hat. She says that the playoffs that I've been wearing hats for, I haven't been doing well. So I got to stick by that and bust out the headband. So I guess that could be kind of my own tradition. But other than that, I think that the Spartans really try to bring their cheer out a little more, which we kind of hold back a little bit sometimes during the season of cheering too loud, because it's murder. So sometimes it doesn't go over so well on the spirit scores, and we're sitting at a perfect 10 right now last time I checked. So but we do try to bring that out for our playoffs and really play up that kind of fun intimidation and sometimes get the eye blackout or whatever have you. But we do have fun with it, but I wouldn't say that we're too superstitious, or we're too we're just the Spartans. We like to go out there and just have a good time, so we don't put too much thought into any of it, unfortunately.
I hear you. I have what I think is a terrible playoff ritual, and like I let me look. Let me bring up the sheet I have here. I didn't win my first championship till season 6, and by that time I played enough dodgeball that I thought I was going to be like the creepy guy who was still playing at 35, 40 years old, and desperately clinging on some hope of getting a title, because it really didn't look like it was going to happen for me. I don't know for sure. I think the season before that we probably lost. No, this 8-bit hadn't happened yet. I was still kind of in awe of Hate Sauce because they were around till season 4. Royal Family steals one in season 5, and I probably felt like some angry bridesmaid. Like, fuck, if Tron gets a title, why can't I get a title? Although he did win in season 4 with WF Superstars. I was up Saturday night before playoffs, like at McDonald's, slept at like 3 a.m. and got up at noon. Playoffs start at noon, but I got up at noon and just like showered, got a coffee, and just strolled into the gym. And we ended up winning. Okay, it was Monday night, but whatever. A title's a title. And so after that, I've always felt compelled to like go and eat some greasy ass fast food the night before playoffs. And
Definitely.
I don't know if that helps me at all. It probably hurts me. I always feel like death at playoffs, and I don't think it's the coffee, and I don't think it's nerves. I think it might be what I'm eating the night before.
It's okay. I heard that Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt both swear by McDonald's and eating chicken nuggets. So
Man,
maybe you're just bringing out your inner.
my inner elite athlete.
Yeah, I
I
guess so.
knew I was an Olympian, man. And they were giving me medals, and they gave me those ribbons at elementary school track meets for a reason, right? Because they saw potential there. Okay, I'm gonna talk about a crazy idea I have, and every day it looks a little bit more and more likely like it could happen. Pub night. Everybody knows pub night. You channel your insane inner MC at pub nights sometimes. But I want to do a pre-broadcast from my house. I've already got a communal microphone lined up, in the sense that I'll be able to plant it on a table. Maybe the video will be on, maybe it won't be. And I'll be able to sort of pull people aside, do interviews on the spot, and at the very least, whoever's listening or whoever chooses to listen to is going to get an idea of the sort of atmosphere that's going on pre-pub night. Problem is, I have like no one interested in it yet. I've sort of talked to people, but I haven't got any solid confirmations yet. And I don't have the biggest place going on here. It's big, but it's not that big. I'm planning on breaking out some dodgeball memorabilia, having some goofy questions, having a few drinks, and just having a blast. So this is your chance right now. Consider this an invitation. If you want to get in on my pre-show extravaganza, it basically guarantees you're going to be on the show. It guarantees I'm probably going to try to get you to have a few drinks with me. And then, it guarantees you got a posse to show up at pub night with. And who better to show up at pub night with than a posse? If you want to get in on it, get to me quickly. Talk to me, Twitter, Facebook, email, whatever. Corner me at a gym. Doesn't matter if I don't know you that well, as long as I think I should know you. Like if you're some guy that just walks in off the street in street clothes and like a mask, and it's like, hey, I'm coming to your pub night pre-show, I'd be like, fuck, get away from me, dude. I'd probably try to run behind Kennedy for protection. That's not okay. Anything else, okay. Talk to me. I'm looking for maybe like 10 to 15 people. Let's see if we can make it a thing. Like I said, I have some really weird, kooky dodgeball memorabilia that will, at the very least, bring up some, memories. That's what it's supposed to do. Not related question, but really related question. When you won with Olympus and Ballistics, did you keep the playoff chart?
No, I don't think I've ever kept the playoff chart. Or you know what? Maybe someone did, maybe Coop or someone, but I've never actually stowed one of those away myself. Unfortunately, I missed a couple of those playoffs. I was away, and I'd been playing all season, and luckily Nick stepped in and filled in for me quite admirably. But unfortunately, yeah, I don't think anyone's got him. Maybe Coop's got him lying around. The guy's always got a bunch of stuff lying around.
Yeah, because spoilers. I've got 3 of those bad boys hanging out, so I'll break them out for our little pub night thing, and just sort of go through memory lane and revisit some fun playoffs from years past. So that's my pub night challenge get in contact with me and line yourself up for even more fun than just pub night if you think you can handle it. Also, my gauntlet continues to stay on the ground. I haven't picked it up yet, or maybe I'll pick it up and throw it back down on the ground because Extravaganza is coming up. And I expect 65 miles an hour out of some guy. I know Billy's kind of injured, so I don't think he'll be standing with the radar gun all day trying to just dong whatever record he had in the past.
That guy goes hard from day one. I mean, that guy, he gets into the gym and his first warm-up throw is like a 65 mile an hour heater. The guy just throws Ched from the beginning. I love it.
It's insane. And, go figure. The year I finally play with him on the mascots is the year that he finally is a mere mortal. He's got some niggling injury. Same with Brandon. Brandon plays like 4 nights a week and then probably goes and swims for 2 hours or something. The guy just works constantly. And this year, my LB bone is sore. Damn it! Just piss. I bring shoulder injuries wherever I go, man. I'm like the locust of VDL. Yeah, I really want to see Byron and Victor as this year's winner. Not that Billy can't do it. If Billy's 100%, Billy can do it. But I think Byron and Vic have the tosses that can, eclipse anybody else. What do you think?
Yeah, Byron, that's the thing. Byron's got that odd delivery too, though. He's got that weird kind of sidearm that he comes in with sometimes. I've never actually seen him kind of rear back and just put everything into something.
Yeah, what's amazing is that Byron is often throwing off of 2 feet. Like, he doesn't even get off of his 2 feet, and he's just sort of casually throwing it, and it's still going so fast. I think if he loads up, he can dong like 68 and maybe challenge 70.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't see why not. I mean, the guy throws heat. I think if Joey had the time from the Spartans, I think he could give a run for some money too. I think that he's got that guy when he lets that thing fly, it's scary sitting on the other end of that.
Dude, hey man, let him know. Bring him out. I'm trying to turn this into just like the most alpha sort of event where guys are like serious, because it means something only as much as people compete and only as much as we give meaning to it, right? I think if everybody shows up and all of a sudden there's like hushed voices like, holy crap, hardest thrower is going to be serious this year. Guys aren't, I know people work, I know people have lives outside of dodgeball, unfortunately, but I really want it just to be this magical thing. Yeah, even you, I want to see you there. Chuck.
I've never made it out to an extravaganza.
Extravaganza. That would be a different event, and I don't think it would be VDL endorsed. It certainly would be VSB endorsed. If we had the extravaganza at a VSB gym, we would lose all our contracts. So don't do that one, guys. Yeah, no, it could be a good time. Apparently, there's a guy in the CDL. I think his name's Jack. He's chucking 78. Unverified. It's like the KHL slap shots maybe, but I hear 78 is a thing. I do have some first-hand accounts from CL execs, and they said it was terrifying. Like the hockey net they stand behind was rattling, like Godzilla had come to Earth.
That's some Basher Brothers shit right there.
Yeah, dude. You know what? Someone tell Jack. Someone get Jack out to the VDL extravaganza, because I think it's open to the CDL players. And let's see that toss, man. Let's see him throw down. In the past, I've come out and said that CDL has huge arms and just zero strategy, because when I was playing the CDL, they had huge arms and zero strategy. And with big arms that don't curve, you can one at a time just sort of sidestep, and it's not that big of a problem. I got a CDL medal. Sorry. But yeah, no, let's make extravaganza awesome. Moving on from that, is there anything else you want to throw down about extravaganza before we move on?
Oh man, I don't know. What else? What other events they got going on there? Is it all the kind of the usuals, or they tried to mix it up this year and throw some new stuff in?
Honestly, I'm not part of programs, so I don't know. I show up there and I'm usually impressed. Sometimes
surprise.
I know for most accurate, I think last year they were throwing down sort of army men from the balcony at DT, and if you hit the army men, then you would sort of get a point, right? Best Dodger always changes. And I think Best Dodger is probably one of the hardest to accurately sort of gauge, because whoever's throwing is so inconsistent. Like at the beginning of the day, you've got like Billy Cooper and like two other crazy dudes just throwing like crazy, throwing like nuts, right? They're throwing their arms out. And so later on, it's just some guy that like me gets called in. It's like, hey, Trav, throw for best dodger. I'm like, I don't know. And the guys get away with murder out there. So I don't know the validity of best dodge, but hey, maybe they change it up. Come check that out. I don't know if they do a best catcher, but they do a showdown competition, like a elimination style showdown tournament, which is always sweet. They do guy side, girl side, then guy takes on girl, and it's always it's always cool. And then oftentimes too late, in my opinion, they go into the big games, and so there's just like double gym, madness, corners, last man standing, fireball, all these crazy games that they haven't usually been able to play on a regular league night because we just don't have time, don't have the space, etc. And we just have fun doing that. And I think that's the best night of Extravaganza. I mean, the best part of Extravaganza. So I want to see more big games. Oh, hey, when you were a kid, did you play NBA Jam, or NBA Jam Tournament Edition?
Oh, is that PlayStation?
No, Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, I assume.
The only Sega Genesis game I played was it was Boston Celtics versus Chicago Bulls, and you can only be one of those two teams. And if you were Larry Bird or Michael Jordan, you could just score from anywhere on the court, and they'd rack up like 78 points a game. And it was just a game between the two of them. But no, I don't think I did actually play any NBA Jam.
That's crazy. Okay, I'll briefly describe you this game. Like, it was mainly sort of an arcade game, so it was 2-on-2. The best two players from a team would play against the other two best players, and it was bizarre. Like, if you scored 3 points in a row, all of a sudden the ball was on fire whenever you were touching it. You could score from anywhere. You could like jump from half court and just do insane dunks and shit. And I think in Tournament Edition they introduced hotspots, where if you were standing in this little circle with a number in it, you would get that many points if you made the shot. So it's like 10 points, 8 points, some shit like that. I want to bring that to dodgeball. I want like these big vinyl stickers on the ground, and if you're standing in like the 2 sticker and you make a catch, 2 people come in. Just the craziness I want to see in dodgeball. I never want to see it in a competitive match, but maybe some night at like Coops Hall or something.
We definitely got down some pretty crazy games in that hall. I remember it was like the capture the flag we tried one time.
Were you there for disco dodgeball?
Oh man, I wore too many face shots at those disco dodgeball. It was like a strobe light of just like a ball, and then all of a sudden it was like 2 inches in front of your face, and you were wearing it.
There was also like Protect the King dodgeball, where Grace was kneeling down wearing this like box on her head, and she had like a silver a metal baking pan as sort of protection. We had to try to stop her, and so she was just Cooper was like throwing balls and just denting this metal plate, and she was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, the disco balls are flashing everywhere, and this girl's just crouched over taking shots. It was insane. Chris Wang asked about sort of a term I used last week, and I'm going to try to define it. I don't have sort of concrete definitions. I'm not as concrete here as like J.R.R. Tolkien is with his Lord of the Rings, because in Lord of the Rings, like when one age starts and another age begins are pretty clearly defined. I don't know myself, but I know that those are things. I talked about generations in dodgeball, and if I was to say, hold a gun to my head and ask me about generations in dodgeball, I don't know why you would, but let's just pretend. I would say there's 3 generations in dodgeball. The first generation in dodgeball was probably season 1 to 3. Everybody was brand new. Sorry, everybody that played back there, if you're listening through some sort of time machine, but you were awful. Everyone was awful at dodgeball with the exception of Hate Sauce. Dodging was king. Maybe by the end of the age, people started to realize that, hey, if I catch, I'm going to win games. And so there was this transition. It was no longer just like a 16, 32 team league. It was much bigger. All of a sudden we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and just this mass of new players. We were able to open up new gyms, etc. Season 4, I will mark the second generation of dodgeball as Hate Sauce moving to Thursday night and WWF Superstars winning Tuesday night. And so the second generation probably lasted just this long spanning time. That was probably the bulk of VDL's life, from say season 4 all the way to, do you know when Byron started playing?
Byron, oh man, I'd probably say like season 11, 10, 11, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Probably around there.
10,
I
yeah.
know he was at least with Geeks and Sneaks in season 12. I'll go out and say we're either on the edge of season 2. I mean, Generation 2 going into Generation 3 right now, or we're full blown into Generation 3. Because a lot of vets will probably just turn a blind eye to it, but there are a lot of new players coming into this game, getting really good, really quick. The highest end examples here are guys like Joey, guys like Victor Liu, guys like Byron, who just came in out of nowhere, were perfectly comfortable in Tier 1. After they sort of got rough strategy down, they were able to not just compete but dominate guys that were normal players. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that we joined season 3. That was the first Thursday night, I believe. And yeah, I mean, coming into that, it was all hate sauce. That was it. That was all we knew. It was the only other team that we knew we were supposed to know, according to Coop. And yeah, I think once we started with Olympus too, I think that was one of the first times that I think a team kind of started taking a lot of powerhouses from a couple different nights and bringing them into one kind of new team. And although we only went for a couple seasons, I think that kind of spurred on this new kind of age of people really realizing that they can branch out from the teams that they join with, and they can start taking teams and players from other divisions and other teams and really kind of try to make their own new super teams almost. And I think that that definitely started up. Yeah, I'd say like good 4th, 5th seasons is when that really started to pick up, and that started to cement a lot of dynasty teams, I think too. You got teams like the Royal Family and the Uses and teams that had been around for a while at that point, but they kind of stuck through a lot of that stuff, and they were all able to pull out some championships here and there, and even like DDR and teams like this, kind of the same kind of core group really took off. And yeah, I think right now, I think there's just so many players coming in, the league's getting so big and so popular, and people are really able to kind of live in some lower tiers and really develop a lot of things. And then you'll all of a sudden see these teams that move up, and a couple players that move up that just really catch you off guard. You're like, oh man, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Or this girl, where'd she come from? And they just dominate you left, right, and center. And it's exciting. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this kind of transition into, like you're saying, it's almost like a new age, where there are a lot of new people and a lot of fresh faces. Because before, especially too, before we started tiering it, like you were playing, you'd see a lot of familiar faces, and you'd kind of start playing the same teams, and you would want to match teams up. But now you can really start to get these rivalries going with some teams, and then kind of send them down to the next tier, and you all of a sudden get this new team and these new guys that come in, and you really got to start watching out. And at the same time, you got to send your message and let them know that you've been here for a little while, and there are still things to learn. But there's a lot of these teams that just kind of get these big upsets and can come in, and they're scary in playoffs, and they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, man. Speaking of sort of turning it on and putting a team in their place, I got my comeuppance. I think it was the season 5 Tuesday playoffs. We were playing against Olympus, and this was me as Love Juice. And so this was myself, Shane, Carolyn was there, and that's all you would probably know. And we were playing so hard. We were so ready to take on Olympus, and we actually went up like 2-0 in the semifinals against Olympus. And I was like, yeah, man, we can do it. We can beat anybody. This is probably the height of just my dodgeball fever of being possessed with trying to go out and win a championships. It meant fucking everything. 2-0, we're in such a good spot, and then all of a sudden, Olympus is just like, hey, no, here we go, like, guys, let's play real dodgeball. Like, they were in a daze before that, and they just fucking they wiped the floor with us 3 wins in a row, and I was just left sort of beaten and confused. I'm like, how did this happen? And I was just like, okay, that was just good dodgeball. They came out and they played so hard. I don't think there was any way we were gonna beat like a possessed Cooper, Billy, Tice. I think you were there. It was just it was brutal. But yeah, no, I'm really excited because whenever I see new guys, I don't think what separates tier 1 and tier 2 right now, to some extent, like, I'm not going to lie totally and say there isn't, a difference in catching and throwing. There is, but it's not as big as it would seem. A lot of it just comes down to strategy. So when I see a new team of like young kids who are just awesome athletes, and I know they've got it, I like part of me still thinks like, man, I hope these guys never really learn how to play. Like, I hope they're good players and they love the game and love the community. But if they really learn how to play dodgeball, like if they go and watch Devin Rattel's videos and they pick everybody's brain and they stick around for a couple of seasons, these guys are gonna twerk everybody. And now I think you're starting to see it, man. There's teams just popping up in Tier 1 and not getting sent right back down immediately. Give it a couple years. Everybody's getting older. We don't live forever. I think Hate-Bit's got to be one of the oldest teams in the league. Just from like an average age stance, we got a couple older people. Like the youngest folk on our team right now, 24. I mean, you know, we got our age range of like 24 to 29, 30. We're getting up there. We can't go forever. Pretty soon we're gonna get dethroned hardcore, and not just us. A lot of teams.
Yeah, I think some of these guys coming in. I know when I saw Byron the first time, the kid. That was instantly the nickname that Nick and I had for him. He was just the kid. He just came in and just tore it up. And we're like, who is this kid, man? He could just. I mean, it was unbelievable just watching some guys, and it's like have this guy been playing for very long, or is he just one of these natural kind of athletic guys? And I mean, it's good to see. There's lots to learn from guys like that too. I think there's lots of different parts of their game that you can start to pick up on and take advantage of for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we also found out later that he came from like a college baseball program, right?
Yeah, he used to play ball too. He kind of played in the same kind of baseball association back in the day. He's older than me, and we never actually played on the same teams or anything like that. But yeah.
I think Byron is like 26. I think. I don't know if people want me throwing ages around there, but I'm pretty sure Byron's 26. Yeah. A little bit older, but definitely just this dominant, strong ass player. And I got a question from Maz on Facebook. Maz talks to me a lot. I love how sort of into it he is to my show. For a while, his old team, the Air Chompers, still his team, but he's branched out playing on other teams now. The Air Chompers is my favorite team. These guys always had jerseys. They're always in like tier 2 or tier 3, but they just Maz especially just had this really cool passion. They were good players, and I could see a couple of them going places if they put their heads down and played hard. And Maz actually is at that point now. He's like, hey Trav, we just got bumped up to tier 1. How are we going to do this? They played against Lantern Corps last week, and if you check out sheet 3, that's Kyle, Rogan, Luke, Rattel, Travis Feldman. So Travis from
yeah,
Deb,
that's a tough team,
and
man.
Linda.
Holy.
I'm just like, if you take any team I plan right now and put us up against that team, we're going to have a hard time. And so, like, I think it's easy enough if you've been playing dodgeball ever since it's been tiered, or playing dodgeball forever even, to sort of underestimate that it's actually tough sticking around in tier 1. Like I kind of am, I'm probably guilty of sort of playing it off and being dismissive of it, like, yeah, you're either in tier 1 or whatever, you're playing different dodgeball. But if you come up and you've got Lantern Corps for one team, another team hanging around, let's just say Dodge Dynamic Duos, they got 9 wins last week, but they're an awesome team with Carson and Donald, Yams on the team, Carey's on the team, and then just some other team. You're gonna be fighting to get more than 5 wins. And looking at the averages from the last round of tiering, teams that were getting 5 or 6 wins a night, like that wasn't cutting it. There's so many teams that get tiered now because I guess sort of in a desire to see more teams move around, that if you're not getting like 7 wins a night average, you're not sticking around in tier 1. It can be really tough. What would you say to a guy who's coming up and has to play the Spartans? How would you ask him to stick around?
Oh man, I think it really does depend on the type of team that you got. I think one of the big things, obviously, I think that's pretty obvious, that kind of defines tier A and tier B is the ability of people to catch. And I think that might not necessarily mean that you got to get better at catching, but I think that as a player coming up and you're playing these teams, I think you just got to respect it a bit more and just be aware that you can't just throw through guys. Like, I know there's a lot of teams that come up that might have 1 or 2 guys that just got these cannons, and in tier B they can kind of just blow through a lot of teams and rely heavily on those 2 guys. And my kind of, I guess, suggestion or advice to them would kind of be, you got to, I think if you're those 2 guys, you got to mix your game up a bit. You got to realize that in tier A, you can't just throw through people. And that's one of the things that we're kind of learning as well, and we're trying to develop. And I know especially for me, I started throwing this curveball for a long time, and it was great for a couple seasons. But then I started to realize that people eventually start picking up on those things, and other people start throwing things, and people get a little more used to seeing things. And I think for me, where I've kind of evolved is really trying to keep people off guard. And I know you heard me yelling like it's okay to miss a lot of the time, and that's kind of what I mean by that is as long as you got people thinking about different ways of that you're throwing, you leave something. Accuracy to me is the number one thing in dodgeball. I think that if you're able to be accurate with your throw, it doesn't really matter how hard you can throw. If you can get people to reach for things or think that things are in different places, or you got a little bit of a kick or a little drop or a little movement on one of your balls, and you can kind of mix that up and mix it into your arsenal and get people thinking and throwing people off guard a little bit and be able to be accurate with your throws and not leaving things kind of right dead center where people are going to be able to catch them. I think as a big thrower coming up, I think that's definitely something to work on. Obviously, there's the strategies involved, and I think ball control becomes a kind of a bigger thing. There's a lot more people in the area that are more aware of ball control. But again, I really do believe that if you got to kind of play the game that you're given, and I think that some teams, for us, I know we try to pull those Tier B teams into our style of throwing, and it's like, yeah, we want you guys to start throwing a lot quicker with us, and we want you to kind of get pulled into our game because we know we're going to beat you on your game. So I think that if you're aware of what your game is and aware of what kind of elements that your team brings in, if you are a catching team, be aware of that and be aware that you're not going to be able to throw people out one-on-one. If you're a team that relies on a lot of throwing, just be aware of that and be aware that you're not able to throw a lot of teams out one-on-one, and you're going to need that kind of other person to step up and just be a threat with you. And just be conscious of that you are going to be throwing more balls and games are going to last a little bit longer because people are going to wait you out a bit more. They're going to pull dead balls out of you. They're going to want you to reset their balls. They're going to catch a lot of your balls, and they're going to have those extra lives come in. And I think that, for us, I mean, we want people to get into a fast tempo and play our game. And I think if you're able to figure out what your game is and you can really work around the players that you got, and obviously you aren't going to come in and win 9-10 games in your first week coming up to tier A. And I think our very first week that we came into the league, we were a bunch of big white guys coming in. Oh yeah, we're gonna blow out all these teams, win or whatever. And we ended up going like 5-10. We went up against Royal Family and they just like blew our socks off. And we're like, what? We wouldn't even realize that we were all just dead by the time this game had even started. Like it was unbelievable. And I think you just got to realize that that's going to happen. And just work on the things that your team has and talk to people and steal parts of their game. Like I know for you, for example, like I steal that kind of deceptiveness that you have because it's caught me off guard 1,000 different times. It's just balls coming from every direction and through legs and under legs and behind backs and around heads and whatever it is. And although I might not throw like that, it's that kind of element of mixing things up a little bit and keeping people off guard a bit, and it's okay to hold on to balls a little bit, and it's okay to make these kind of quick throws and try to catch people off guard. So I think things like that, just look around to Tier A and kind of give the respect that a lot of the teams and a lot of the players deserve. I think everyone really deserves for being up there, that they're all there for a reason, and just try to find what game you're good at and who around the league can kind of emulate that game and talk to them. That's what the community's about. It's about kind of sharing ideas and having a good time. And if you can get into a good conversation with someone and try to steal parts of their game, most people are pretty happy to share their wisdom with you as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a that's an awesome point to be made with sort of like a mentorship. There's really good mentorships that could be fostered through VDL if people would sort of cross that divide of, tier 1 side to tier 2 side and just walk across and just sort of talk and just be like, hey, what's happening, what's going on, why did they do this? And everyone in tier 1 is just this wealth of information, and they'll probably love to talk your ear off too because they're think like, oh, I'm seeing like some sort of dodgeball guru here, and so they'll talk to you. So if you have a question, you're going to get an answer. It may not be the right answer, but at the very least it's that person's opinion on that issue. I said a few other things to Maz. You really threw it down well in terms of sort of how they need to play from a style. I also think that if you're coming out and you're really determined to try to stick around, it's asking a lot. You're asking a lot from your whole team to take a big step forward, and it almost requires you to treat the night as if it were a playoff. And I don't think that's something that most teams coming up to the tier are prepared to do or really want to do. I don't even know if that's the best thing for their dodgeball enjoyment. Sort of, you had fun in tier B, you did well, and now that you're in the show, it's like, all right, guys, we got to get serious, and dodgeball is big time now. So I think you can ask them to play as well as possible, sort of within themselves. Get out to skills clinics if you can, because like it does make a difference. If everybody on the team makes a small improvement, all of a sudden the team's that much better. But if you want to get fancy, I think you can take advantage of the fact that most tier 1 teams, if they see a team that they don't know, they're going to play sloppy. Like, they will underestimate like crazy. If they're not out for blood, if they had just gotten beaten by like another good team, they're going to be like, all right, screw it, guys, let's go get 3 wins. But if you can sort of just pick smart targets, always go down the center, keep your ball possession up, you'll probably come with 5 to 7 wins. I say that and it sounds easy, and in reality, if you were going down the center and if you were keeping your ball possession high, you'd probably be a tier 1 team already. So I don't know. I don't know if my advice was going to help Maz too much. I think what you said was just super helpful, though. Anything else to say on teams that ping pong back and forth all the time?
Oh man, I think one thing that I do, I think warm-ups is take advantage of them. I get so frustrated when I'm late for a night, or I can't get there in time because of work, or whatever the other 1,000 excuses are to be late for a night. But just not getting there in time, and I don't get my proper warm up, and it takes me so much longer to get into anything. I can't hit anything that I'm trying to hit, and I just get so frustrated. So I think taking advantage of your warm ups. I know, like for me, it doesn't necessarily mean you gotta be all serious when you're trying to warm up, but like I'll pick a point on the wall, place that you want to hit, ankle height or knee height, and I'll find a little spot on the wall, and I'm not throwing 100% from the first throw, but I'm still, every single throw, I'm trying to hit that one spot on the wall, and just kind of giving yourself little goals to get through, right? Like if you want to work on your catching, like find someone that's got a difficult throw to catch, or that's got something a little different, and it's all about building confidence too. Like I know when we're working on our catching, I'll throw a bunch right down the middle just to get someone's confidence going so they can get that catching going, and then you start to push it inside or outside, and just get them to work on certain things, and just kind of being aware of that stuff, and taking advantage of the time you got, and I mean, there's obviously fun ways to do it, and you can have a good time doing it as well. So, but I know warm-ups are a big thing for me. If I don't get a good warm-up, I'm hopeless out there.
I agree so much. Like I can't actually throw if I don't warm up my arm. My arm just will ache all day. And not just that, like my catching too. I've got sort of, I don't know if you've ever seen me do it. I've got this drill I started doing with Coop. I think he probably came out of something him and Tyson were doing together. But we stand, progressively closer and closer together, and we're just chest passing the ball back and forth, and just getting that repetitive feel of sort of, toss, catch, claps on the ball, toss, catch, claps on the ball over and over and over, just slowly speeding up to, as soon as I get out there, it's just night and day. If I don't do that, like I will catch nothing. I have just butterfinger hands or butterfingers. But if I do that, all of a sudden I'm making a few grabs here and there. I'm a lot more calm on the court because I know I've warmed up, right? And I think that's my next great horizon for dodgeball in terms of preparation is visualization, because you can go out on a league night and play your 15 games, and you may never get 3 players throwing at you by yourself and you trying to catch. It just might not happen. You may not get the instance. But if before bedtime you've come up with these situations, these scenarios you want to run through, like 2 balls are throwing at me, 3 balls are throwing at me, etc., and you just play them over in your head over and over and over. You see yourself doing it. I think for me, that's where I'm going to go next with sort of my preparation for dodgeball. It's a little intense, but I think it could be worthwhile. Have you ever done any visualization, Matt Kennedy?
No, I'm not. I've never really been much of a visualizer, unfortunately. I think where I kind of stand, like with something like catching, for example, to me, it's I pick up a ball really early, right out of someone's hand, especially now that everyone's got these weird dips and the ball's just moving in different directions every time. And I think as soon as I see the ball, then I guess I get this kind of flash of visualization of where that ball is going to be going and the kind of line it's going to be going on and exactly where I'm going to catch it. And 9 times out of 10 that if I can actually kind of get that, I guess you could call that a visualization. It's like this spiritual moment, I guess, my dodgeball spiritual moment of this flash of a ball coming. And if I can pick it up early enough and I got a good good rhythm of how someone throws, and really trying to pick up on those things. And I guess that could be considered my visualization. But beforehand, no, I need to almost the opposite of things. I need to kind of forget about everything else. I need to not think about dodgeball, because my problem is I get too far in my head sometimes, and I know for me personally that starts to kind of shut me down from the rest of my team, and I have kind of taken on this role of being this loud person that's going to be yelling at everyone all the time. And sometimes when I'm too in my head, or I'm too focused on something, I stop doing that, and I take that out of it, and that really pulls me out from the rest of my team, because I use that kind of talk and yelling at everyone to keep my own self in check, and constantly kind of be checking in with where my team is, and it keeps me aware of things. So if I get too close and too close off to those things, and I start to picture that stuff too much, I start psyching myself up. But that being said, I think that if you're the kind of person that has that kind of control that I just unfortunately don't have, definitely I think that all that kind of stuff can help.
Awesome. Now, I think, for the sake of time and for the sake of just, I don't want to throw out the question best team of all time, because requiring you to come up with a list right now on the spot, a little extreme. But I am going to ask you, who's your favorite team of all time?
Who's my favorite?
Your favorite team, not necessarily one you played for,
time.
But just what team do you think was super movie? Just what team did you really respect? Whatever. Let me know.
I think that I think Hate Sauce is just up there just because they were this legendary team. But unfortunately, I think I only played against them maybe once or twice, and so I don't really know that team all that well. But just coming into the league and just kind of the vibe I got from them, I got to give them that kind of respect. Man, who else? I'm a Thursday night, so you got to say the Royal Family and the Excuses.
Yes.
They were two teams that we really kind of took a lot from. I know, like with Royal Family, we had this kind of mini rivalry going on. They were the team that always kind of knocked us out of playoffs and always used that experience and kind of veteranship to take us out. And that's boiled over now to this Vase Trong rivalry that they got going on that I just absolutely love. It's my favorite thing. Every time that Trong's in the gym and Vase is just being Vase and just going off on him in one way or another, Trong doggy or whatever he's called for him.
I think Vase can drum up a rivalry with anybody if he wants to, man.
You know what? I love the guy for it too. He's and that's the type of game he plays too. He's just in your face and he's just all over the courts and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like the Excuses, obviously they were a pretty influential team as well. Coop was kind of the one that brought us in, and that was the team that he was playing on, and so we kind of gave him that respect as well. And we actually started kind of getting their numbers a little bit later on, which is my kind of underground reason why they left maybe. But I don't know. Olympus was big too. I think just because of the fact that it was one of the teams that we started out, and they were like, people were super concerned of us, and like it was ridiculous. We'd walk into a gym and people would just be like, well, yeah, you guys are just gonna win tonight. Yeah. And like people just had this like defeated attitude, which you never had with any other team.
It was serious. It was just intimidation. The likes that hadn't existed since Hate Sauce was a team. It was just like, oh crap. It was one of the first super teams, like real super teams.
Yeah, and then I haven't played much on Tuesdays after that, but just looking here in 8-bit with four championships in a row, like there's no other team. I mean, you look at Thursday night and it seems there's a new team winning it every single week, or every single season, sorry. Yeah. Whereas 4 straight wins with 8-bit, that's tough. That's consistency, and Tuesday's a pretty competitive night too. I mean, it's the longest night. It's been around forever. There's so many teams. I got to give it to the Royal Family and the Excuses though. They were definitely two of the biggest teams that really got us into it, and they were our first big challenges, I think, and so I got to give it to them.
I hear it. Yeah, no, Royal Family is just they're the sort of team that you would count out going into a playoffs, thinking like, okay, this season there's no way they can go far, and then sure enough, they're in the finals every year. Just Trong, Eddie, whether it's Seabell, Tiana, Amy, Drew, just a host of players, lots of faces, but all sort of old classic VDL faces, tons of good memories. With Hate Sauce, I think they're the one team that is going to be sort of mystified and put in VDL legend forever, especially since we don't have any videos of Hate Sauce playing, and so they're just going to go on forever, and the legend is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're just going to simply exist. And most of those guys outside of CT and passing, most of them don't really have any interest in dodgeball anymore. So I doubt we're ever going to see the Hate Sauce reunion, and their legend is just going to exist. And it's going to if you go to the Tuesday, Hate Sauce, WWF superstars that had Chris Tongue. All 4 8-bit wins had Chris Tongue, and I don't know about XGC Energy, but I think that was, I guess that's the closest Hate Sauce might have got to a reunion, because I think Nelly was on the team. I think Chris Tongue might have been on the team. So if that is true, and Chris Tongue was on XGC Energy, then he was in on 10 of the first 12 Tuesday championships, which is mind blowing. And I don't think Chris Tongue needs to be deified any more than he already is, because like he's the closest thing there is to a dodgeball god. At the moment, but hey, I'm guilty of it again. It's hard not to sort of add to this guy's legend. That is Chris Tongue. That is dodgeball.
Yeah, he's definitely another guy you got to steal part of your game from. I mean,
oh man,
he does it too. It's like he's never the most threatening guy. Like he finds a way to really just work with his team, and that's something that I definitely have taken out of him. It's like you watch the guy play, and he's just always sitting in the back, and he's taking care of everybody on his team first. And then you got to be worried about him because he can throw and he can catch you off guard, and he'll just make these ridiculous catches that you don't understand at like the most inopportune time. And he finds ways to pull his teams back in. But I think the biggest thing for him is he's so easy to work off of. He's such an easy player to read when you're on his team, but he's such a difficult player to read when you're not on his team. You're just always so concerned about him. And he plays that up, but at the same time, he's ridiculous. He just makes it easy to enjoy a game of dodgeball, that's for sure.
Yeah, Woot Woot versus Little T-Rex, Game 5, Season 11 playoffs. If you want to go see a double catch happen and, Chris Tongue magic, check out the entire series, because that was just absolutely amazing. And with that, I think we've come to about an hour and 15 minutes now. We're going to end the show. Do you have any final thoughts, Matt?
No, I mean, thanks for having me, man. Anytime you need someone to come on and talk dodgeball with, please let me know. I absolutely love it, and I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked for everyone this playoffs. I'm gonna try to make it out to a couple of the other playoff nights. Maybe get Deb's camera going and start doing some commentating with Nick again. So, if you got any maybe requests as to some series once that kind of rolls around, to some of this early series in the playoffs that might happen. Hopefully we'll try to be there and get some commentating going and just try to grow this thing, because it's just be getting bigger and bigger every year, and it's really exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I think for just asking you to come on, you didn't have a whole lot of preparation time. You threw down just such an informative, such a well thought out response to everything I was giving to you. So again, thank you so much for everything you've done for dodgeball, everything you've done for the podcast tonight. That's it for me. That's it for Matt. That's the end of episode 5. Take care, everybody. Have a good week at dodgeball. We will see you next week.
Hey, come and tell me, do you like bass? Do you like bass? Get to. Do you like bass? Do you like bass? Get to. Do you like bass? Or will you come down? Get to. Holding me up in Chinatown. Get to. Samtidig så går det. Så tænker man ikke så meget over det, så er det bare sådan en anden ting, der bare er. Ikke også? Samtidig så sidder man bare der og tænker, og der sker ikke noget. Så forstår man det bare overhovedet ikke, så forstår man det bare overhovedet ikke. Hey, come and tell me, do you like bass? Do you like bass? Get to. Do you like bass? Do you like bass? Get to. Do you like bass? Or will you come down? Get to. Holding me up in Chinatown. Get to. Jeg har ikke lyst til at gøre nogen bare. Gør det lidt. Snart lidt. Jeg har ikke lyst til at gøre nogen bare. Jeg har bare lyst til, at det bare sådan skal være helt vildt.